Good day, ma'am and sir. This is Roslyn Jane Alores, and I am going to report about animation. To start, what is animation? So in here, animation allows you to convey physically believable motion in your interface. So anything that moves inside your user interface is what we call animation. So here, these are the complementary animation systems. So first is animated. So this is for granular um, and interactive control of specific values. So ma-encounter natin siya later, and we also have layout animation for animated global layout transactions. So, animated API, so this focuses on declarative relationships between input and output with configurable transforms in between and start-stop methods to control time-based animation execution. And also, animated API is designed to concisely express a wide variety of interesting animation and interactive interaction patterns in a very performant way. So, these are the 6 animatable component types. So, first, we have here view. So, mo ni siya ato ang atong ang i-import. So, first, we have view. So, this is view, use this to animate the style properties of a view, such as the opacity, position, and dimensions. And for text, we need to use this to animate the style properties of text, such as font size, color, and opacity. And for images, we can use this to animate the style properties of images, such as size, proportion, and the opacity also of the image. And for scroll view, used to create animated scroll effects. So from horizontal to vertical scrolls, this is what we are going to import, this scroll view. And for flat list, this is used to create animated list with smooth transitions. And lastly, for section list, use this to create animated sectioned list. So for the next slide, we have the example code for for our animation. So I have here this one, the fade in. So um, in here, when as what you can see, we've imported text and view. So when we tap this, when we play this code, so while waiting for that, no, um, first I am going to discuss the usage of this. So see, this is a fade in type of animation. So this one, um, this text here, rows, is displayed in a fade in motion. So gikan siya sa 0 to 1 opacity. So first, you need to have our input statements. So nara tong import statement, so import react and this one. So import statement, this code imports necessary modules from React and React Native. Animated is used for creating animation. So dapat dili jud siya mawala no if mag create tag animations atong code. So animated, and as what you can see, naaman tay text and we need to view this. So ato na siyang ipang import sila. And also for the dayon for the fade in view, we have to here is the function. So kani siya function component fade in is defined. It uses the use ref hook to create a mutable object fade anim, which is initialized with an animated value of 0. Anara pani siya. Oh, oops, sorry. So initial value niya is 0, so this value will be animated to achieve the fading effect. And this one, this use effect hook, this one is this is used to trigger the animation when the component mounts. So it sets up an animation using animated dot timing, so which gradually changes the fade anim value from mao ni siya tong set, mahimo na dayon siyang 1 in the duration of 10,000. So 10 seconds ni siya dapat kuan na dayon siya, ma-clear na dayon siya iyang color. So Also, the use native driver option is set to true for performance optimization ni siya. And so next we have the animated view. For this, the fade in view component returns an animated dot view, which its opacity linked to the animated value fade anim. This means that as fade anim changes from 0 to 1, the opacity of the view will smoothly transition, creating a fading effect. So, kuan yan no, kani daw siya is for um, para mas nice daw ang pag-transition niya into fading effect from 0 to 1, like dili siya pinakalit siya. So this is what you're going to put in para nice daw iyang fading effect. And for our main component, in here diri raman nato ginastylan ang ato ang ipa-fade, so ang ato ang ipa-output sa our atong return value. So sa view makita nato nga kuan, this main component uses fade in component. It's a view with content that will fade in this one kani siya nga text mo fade na siya, and dire po nato giset atong style. So 250 ang iyahang width, 50 ang height, and our color is yellow, and it is center. So align item center and justify, naka-center po na siya. That's why na siya sa center. So this is for our example code. And next slide. So next we have animated.timing. So animated.timing will use an is in out curve that conveys gradual acceleration to full speed and concludes by gradually decelerating to a stop. So here is the example of the animated.timing. So if we want to create a 2-second long animation of an object that slightly backs up before moving to its final position. So naara, so atong duration is 2. So 2 seconds to siya nga mag transition or mag time. So ingon ana siya animated.timing. And next we have our animated API sample method. So first is we have sequence and delay. So in this one, here is the sample code for that. So if one animation is stopped or interrupted, so sa kani sa parallel ni siya, then all other animations is in the group are also stopped. So animated parallel has stop together option that can be set to false to disable this. So if you want your animation, if ever dili siya mo kada siyang, for example this one dili siya mo okay, so this timing dili po siya mo okay kay since parallel man po ni siya. So then we have interpolation. So this interpolation maps input ranges to output ranges. So typically using a linear interpolation, but also supports easing functions. So interpolation daw is a technique used in animations to smoothly transition between different styles of properties of a component. So it involves defining a range of input values and their corresponding output values. So mapping them through the interpolate function and applying the result to styles. So for example, if you're animating a component opacity from 0 to 1, dili man pud siya pwede nga 0 jud siya diretso, mapaingon na siya sa 1. So dapat mo kuan gyapon na siya like 0 point something, 0 point hantod sa ma 1 na jud siya. So you would use interpolation to ensure that as your animation progresses, the opacity smoothly transitions from completely transparent to fully opaque. So it allows for dynamic and fluid animations by defining how different visual aspect changes over the course of an animation, making it a crucial tool for creating or engaging. So as what you can see, dili man pud pwede nga for animation kay kada siyang nagkuha siya spoon, and for the next kuan dayon kay nagdiretso na siya nga naa na siya sa iyang baba spoon. So naa jud siya process, naa na siya progress, which is dira na dayon mosulod si interpolation na dayon. So next slide, we have this one. So this is basic example of interpolation. So basic mapping to convert 0 to 1, range to 0 to 100 po dayon iyahang input range 0 to 1, but ang output niya is 0 to 100. So for example, you may want to think about your animated dot value nato. Sa sulod ni siya sa animated dot value as going from 0 to 1, but animate the position from 150 pixel to 0 pixel and the opacity from 0 to 1. So this can be done by modifying the style. So modify lang ni siya nato. And also interpolate supports multiple range segments as well, which is handy for defining dead zones and other handy tricks. So for example, to get a negation relationship at 300 that ranges to 0 at negative 100, then back up to 1 at 1 at 0, and then back down to 0 at 100, followed by a dead zone that remains at 0 for everything beyond that. So mo ni siya iyahang sample nga code, mo ni siya iyahang output. So dili siya nagdiretso from 200 to negative 400, but naapod siya yung mga values nga giagian before that. So next is tracking dynamic values. So the leader and follower animated values would be implemented using animated.value xy. And value xy is a handy way to deal with 2D interactions such as panning or dragging. It is a basic wrapper that contains two animated that value instances and some helper functions that call through to them, making value xy a drop-in replacement for value in many cases. So it allows us to track both x and y nato nga mga values. So for next, we have tracking gestures. So this is done with a structured map syntax so that values can be extracted from complex event objects. So gestures also like panning or scrolling and other events can map directly to animated values using animated.event. So tanan nga gestures, tanan nga panning like scroll up and down, like ingan ana siya, makita na siya sa animated.event. So the first level is an array to allow mapping across multiple arguments, and that array contains nested objects na siya. So example for this is this one. So when working with horizontal scrolling, you could horizontal mo siya, so naa siya sa x, no, sa x nga axis. So you would do the following in order to map event dot native event dot content offset dot x to scroll x. So this scroll x is an animated dot value. So the following example implements a horizontal scrolling carousel where the scroll position indicators are animated using the animated events used in the scroll view. And I will show this code, example code here. Okay. So sample ni siya sa ato ang scroll nga horizontal. By the way, I am using snack.expo for this. So this is the sample animation, a horizontal animation. So from dire gina-track ang gestures niya from left to right. Pwede mo na siya, mga left to right po na siya. Ano. So, okay. And lastly, we have pan responder. So pan responder, you could use the following code, this one, to extract the x and the y positions from gesture state.dx and gesture state.dy. So we use a null in the first position here, in the first position of the array, as we are only interested in this second argument passed to the pan responder handler, which is the gesture state. So here is the example using a pan. So as what you can see, This is also an animation since na-release na din nato ang box. So, yun na siya. So, this is the sample code for pan responder. Nara atong kuan, value 0 o sa ato ang x and y. And then our return, which is ato ang view for ease of transition, kani siya. And for this, we have also our styles. So, nara blue man to kaganina atong ko ano. Blue kaganina ang ato ang box. So, mo siya yung style. And for our text, which is kanina ka-bold siya. And our container. Yeah. And this is the the code on how you are going to do this drag and release box. So, I guess that's all for today. Thank you so much, guys, for listening and hope you learned something from my discussion.